What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and in this video I'm going to be breaking down my update with my results from Samuel Onuha's mentorship. So in this video I'm going to be explaining exactly what happened between January, February, March and April, all of the highs and lows and all the mistakes that I went through, so you don't have to go through the same thing that I did. Just to be super clear, I'm gonna be super honest with you guys in this video. I'm gonna be completely transparent, authentic, and I'm actually just gonna give you exactly what I went through. No bullshit. So if you want the real behind the scenes of what happened to my Shopify store, then make sure to watch towards the end. But anyways, let's get started. So let's start with January. So from around the 10th of January to the 6th of February, I actually stopped running ads for my Shopify business. And the reason for that is actually Chinese New Year. So if you guys aren't familiar with Chinese New Year, what they do from the 10th of January to the 6th of February, they actually stop manufacturing goods, which means it makes it completely impossible to actually dropship during those times. Now, I'm sure if you've been in e-commerce, you all understand that momentum is basically everything. And when you stop running ads for a month or even 3 weeks, it's extremely hard to actually gain that momentum back from what it was like previously. So I actually did struggle with getting some sales in January, although I didn't really want to. So I stopped running ads, and through organic sales, I actually did a total of $31,900 in sales from that month with just completely organic Google and SEO traffic and email marketing. So as you can see here, guys, obviously I was still getting a decent amount of sales here each day, around $3,000 to $4,000. This is a 4.9K day. I stopped running ads around here. So this is where the ads kind of slowed down, and you can see here my sales slowed down also. And then through the rest of January, as you can see here, minus $400, minus $53, $82, minus $55. I was getting a couple of chargebacks here and there. And I was getting a couple of here organic sales, but nothing too crazy. So with January, we ended with a total of $31,962 to be exact. So yeah, as you can see here, the performance obviously wasn't as great. A couple of sessions, orders weren't amazing. Conversion rate was pretty dead as well. So now let's dive into February. So on February 5th, I actually started turning my ads back on. Now, when I first started turning them on, the performance was absolutely horrible. All the metrics on my ad accounts was just not great. My sales were super inconsistent at that time. And all my winning products that I had previously in December actually all just died and weren't performing at all completely. So February for me was basically just a month of testing. So I tested, a bunch of products, a bunch of, other creatives, different angles, different pain points, stuff like that. I didn't obviously plan on scaling because my metrics weren't great. And I was actually just trying to scale from the back end, making sure everything in the back end was super smooth, like my customer service, my email flows, and things like that. So even with all the struggles, with the inconsistency of the sales, not really trying to scale the budget at any time, really keeping it conservative and scaling from the back end, I managed to do a total of $55,868 in sales for February. So as you can see here, I started getting, a couple of sales in here and there from the 5th, and it was kind of inconsistent. I had some problems with my ad accounts also. I hit a couple of 4K days or whatever, but overall my profit margins for this month were super healthy. I think it was somewhere around 30%. So in February, I was basically just scaling from the back end just to make sure that nothing was going to happen during March, and I was really able to scale smoothly without running into any issues or any problems. So now let's talk about March. So obviously ending off February very strong with a high profit margin, but not too much in sales. I knew it was time for me to scale. So in March, things started to pop off. Obviously I raised the budget for some of my products. I also found some winning products previously from February, which I could really scale into March. And finally, the momentum was actually kicking back in, and I was making a decent amount of sales each day. So as you can see, guys, obviously when I first started out in March, the sales weren't amazing because obviously the momentum wasn't kicking in yet. But from this period onwards, it was basically just a new PB day every single day. So you can see here, $900 in a day only. Then we hit 2.2K. Then it was 3.4, 3.8, 3.9, 4.4, 4.8, 5.6, 6.5, 6.9, so basically $7,000 in a day. I had some ad account issues at this time, and then it kept going. I hit a record day of 8.3K in a single day. And then after that, I had some ad account issues, so I wasn't really able to scale. But overall, ended March in a very good month, doing a total of $123,000 In a single month, I completed 1,287 orders with a conversion rate of 2.04%, which is okay. 61,531 sessions. So as you can see guys, looking into my analytics for March, you can see here, I did a gross sales of $133,000, returning customer rate of 11.4%, which is honestly not that amazing. 1,287 orders, 1,228 orders fulfilled. My average order value was $95, which is not bad, it's okay. You can see here, total sales by product. So you can see, obviously I had a very strong winning product, which did $23,000 in sales that month. And then also this product, which did $10,000 in sales that month. Conversion rate over time, 2.04%. You can see here, add to cart rate, 5.3%, reach checkout, 3.1%, completed checkout, 2.04%, which is not bad. Sessions by location, so I was actually just running in the Australian market at this time. So you can see here, most of them are coming from Sydney, Australia. Total sales by social refer, Facebook. Majority of the sales actually came from Facebook. So obviously I was hitting some record days. My products were actually selling super well, but I was also really making sure that I was scaling from the back end so I can actually go into April super smoothly and scale super hard. So in my mind, I knew that April was gonna be my biggest scaling month. And I knew that if I kept this momentum, I would have been hitting 10K days consistently in April. However, going into April, here's where I made one of my biggest mistakes I've ever made in e-commerce. So actually during March, I was on holiday for almost 3 of the weeks. I was in Japan, visiting my family. And I wasn't actually checking in with my customer service VAs because, I trusted her to, run my full backend systems. She was actually still messaging me, still keeping me updated with everything. So I thought everything was good. However, it wasn't. So behind the scenes, she was actually doing no work on my business at all. She wasn't answering my emails for the 3-week time period. And when you have customer service VAs, you're meant to be checking up on them every single day. So however, it is completely my fault that I didn't. So basically what actually ended up happening was she wasn't answering emails for 3 weeks. All of my customers were getting super mad, ignoring their emails. So they actually decided to, dispute me, give me chargebacks, and I was getting a flood of, disputes every single day. And I basically had nothing that I could do about it. So then with my horrible dispute rate on PayPal, PayPal actually decided to hold up to 40,000 Australian dollars of all of my money, which basically left me with no cash flow and no capital. So I actually didn't have the funds to be able to scale in April because I basically didn't have access to any of my money. All my capital was held in a PayPal account, and they said they were holding it up to 6 months at that time, which basically just destroyed my business. So in April, I only did $87,000, which is perfectly okay considering, I literally did not scale at all, although it was supposed to be my breakout month. And to make matters completely worse, as you can see here, towards the last couple of days from, April 26th, my sales really started slowing down. I only did, a couple $100 in sales a day until it went to literally 0. And this was because the ACCC, which is the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, actually ended up banning my Shopify store because I was running a non-compliant sale, which means, I was just running a sale at all times, which is obviously non-compliant with their policies. So this basically ended up killing my Shopify store. So these are basically the results that cover my experience through Samuel Onuha's mentorship, guys. So after this, I completely closed my general fashion dropshipping store on Shopify, although I had, a couple of other stores running on Shopify as well. And I basically switched to branded, which is much more sustainable, which actually hold long-term value, so I don't run into any issues in the future. So that is the end of the video, guys. A lot of ups and downs during that time period. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. So that was basically a breakdown of, what kind of happened to my Shopify stores after joining Samuel Onuha's mentorship course. If you found this helpful, please drop a like down below and subscribe, as I'll be dropping a bunch more videos just like this, including e-commerce, in the future. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.